is Dr. Khalid. I'm a Chief Operating Officer of the Telco Intelligent Automation Council. It's a not-for-profit organization in its formative stages with the objective of helping telcos along specifically in their path in automation. So it's related to your path, whether it's RPA, intelligent automation, AI, Gen AI, and even beyond. The whole subject of the adoption of AI and its fit in terms of an operating model is probably one of the key challenges that we've got within the telco industry. So I've got a very distinguished panel today, and as opposed to me speaking, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pavan Kurapati. I lead the global technical architecture for Juniper. Very nice to be here.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, guys. Rahul-Venkataraman. I am an AVP at Verizon. I lead a lot of our customer-facing marketing and personalization capabilities.
Hello, everyone. Jeremy Villalobos, Chief Executive Officer for Orchest. We are a Latin American carrier. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. The subject at stake is how to simplify and modernize the telco operating model to get fit for AI. And the consistent theme in this conference has been getting fit for AI. But I want to open up your mind and ask the question, what does fit for AI really mean? Is it just merely capacity for greater automation, for greater process efficiencies? Or should it be more? And I just want to take your minds down this path to lay a framework for the ensuing discussion. Gen AI and contact center automation has been a consistent theme throughout this conversation. So we've adopted AI. We've looked at areas of the contact center that you can automate. You looked at areas where you can support your contact center agent in order to automate, and you can use that automation to trigger other intelligent automations. But my question is there more? The reverse question is, why is the customer there in the first place? And when you ask that question, then it opens up the discussion that the journeys into your contact center and the automation that you provide provides a data footprint to understand the processes and why those processes are there to serve a customer, and should that customer need to be served, what is the quality of the services you provide such that you don't need a contact center support agent in the first place. And so this presents the notion of a fit for AI, which is that there's a spectrum. And therefore, you have an AI maturity model, if you think about it. Every adoption of Gen AI, say in the contact center, every adoption of AI within the core activities is an adoption of AI. But you can take that to a wide spectrum, and that opens up the whole discussion of what is an AI maturity model. So setting that as a context is what I will now initiate the discussion. And again, please let's make this as interactive as possible. So I'll start with you, Jeremy. Can you please discuss how you've automated your end-to-end customer services and how the unified data model has actually enabled you to excel in the provision of your services?
So when speaking about AI and all these benefits, it's a very broad concept, you know, when we talk about AI, but I believe from the carrier perspective, it's very important to have an automated business model. You know, the more automation you have, the better you can process and use the data on your benefits. AI at the end of the day is to understand patterns. So we are the only carrier in Latin America with a fully automated business model. That means we quote, we order, we provision, we monitor the performance of the service, and also we do the troubleshooting for the clients. The fact that we have a fully automated business model obviously give us the foundation to have a more linear process when it comes to installing services. Customer experience, obviously, it's much better. when compared with the traditional model. Before you were talking about installing a connectivity service in Latin America. Latin America is a very complicated region. We were talking about 120 days installation time frame. Now we're talking about below 30 days. And it's because you're streamlining your business processes through automation. The more you can streamline your business processes by adopting the right technologies and the right way to process the data, the better impact you're going to reflect to your customers. All the decision needs to be based on the customer. How can I make the life of my clients better? Through automation, through AI. At the end of the day, that should be the objective. And believe it or not, that hasn't been the case in the past on the carrier side. Business standards, at least in Latin America, I want to talk for the region where we operate. I don't want to talk globally, but standards in the connectivity services are very low. And our business model was born because we got tired of that. We said enough is enough. It is unacceptable that we are operating like 15 years ago, and it's a reality. Still many carriers do. So automation plays a fundamental role, not only installing services and attending clients, but also making more efficient your organization. A lot of the carriers speak about digital transformation, innovation, but they always focus on the product side, and they don't focus primarily on within their own organizations. In order to deliver a more innovative experience to your clients, you need to have an innovative business model, and that's where you see a truly impact on the customer side.
Thank you. Pavan, could you please describe your journey towards zero-touch network optimization and operation?
Yeah, perfect. And before I get there, in the interest of keeping it interactive, let me poll the audience here. How many of you, we are in the day 2 here, how many of you have used the Wi-Fi and have been on Teams or Zoom call? Quick raise of hands. Have you been on Teams or Zoom call here?
Substantial.
That's quite a bit of people. And how has been your experience? Thumbs up, horizontal. Great. So let me explain our journey in a reverse chronological order, where we are now, and then I'll go back. So because I come from the networking background, to answer a simple question where we are today, like if you look at any enterprise or even the events like this, typically when you get into a networking problem, you don't know whether the issue is because of the capacity here. We have 500 people. Do we have interference here? The access points have enough capacity, or the wired infrastructure that's connecting the Wi-Fi access point? Imagine a world where you can find out that the problem is with the capacities, with the access point, or at each individual level, we are able to determine your specific experience is good or bad. Your throughput, before you open your phone and open speed test and measure the throughput, we know what your throughput would be before you do it yourself, and be able to fix it before you would know, or give the insights that the problem is at the access point, or is at the wired infra, or even at the hosted service by Zoom or Teams in the cloud. Maybe there are issues there that is causing a bad voice or video call that you are going through. That is where we are now. Our ability to tell exactly where the issues are. The users A, B, and C are going through bad experience, and the reason is either the network here, or maybe at Zoom's end or at the Teams end on their side. So that's the ability where we are, and I know I've listened to a lot of conversations yesterday on the level of maturity of autonomous networks that TM Forum defines, and a lot of discussions were around being in level 2 or being in level 3. I say that some parts of the networks have already matured to be in level 3 or 4. That's where we belong. To take it further, where we are now is even before all of you walked into the room, like 2 days before, when this whole network was being set up, imagine if we are able to simulate like 100 users or 500 or 1,000 users and their behavior, and and find out if there are any issues before the users showed up, and ability to tell. That to me is zero-touch operations. And that's where we are. I'm not talking about any distant idealistic world. We are there today. That's what we do from AI, using AI for network operations. Of course, it varies across different networking domains. So to talk to you about the journey, we started using ML, I think about 7 to 8 years ago. I hear a lot of Gen AI conversation. There is a lot that happens outside of Gen AI that we use, a lot of machine learning, and even simple fuzzy logic, right? So that's AI to me also. So there's a lot of ML that we have invested in, and of course, Gen AI is also very, very important aspect that we have been using in the last 7 to 8 years where we are. And we are extending that to all domains, like data center, the wide area networks, or the wired infrastructure, and wireless.
Thank you. One of the interesting or emphasis that I wanted to make, and I think both, well, all of us are, is that the distinction between Gen AI and AI. And we all understand the hype on Gen AI, and there is some value on Gen AI, but it's a subset of actual AI, really. And at the network level and the customer commercial level, it's actually the core AI that's actually going to deliver results. Rahul, given your focus on commercial platforms, what is the trend in the nature of the products that customers are using, and how are you using AI to help them?
Thanks, Dr. Basit. First of all, I love the structure of this panel because we're all from different backgrounds, and you can see what it takes to deliver AI holistically for a telco.
Yeah.
In Verizon, obviously, we're one of the largest telecommunication providers in the country. And when we look at it from a customer perspective, they are looking for obviously the best network experience, but also choice, right? Be it their mobility service, be it their home service. And when we think about the conversation we've had at TM Forum over the last couple of days, you heard during the keynote about this composable ecosystems as the foundational capability, the digital transformation. A lot of what it takes to get fit for AI started there, right? It started with making sure that your CRM platforms, your BSS platforms are structured in a way where the data and the insights that you get out of AI can actually be served up to your customer, to your employee, to be able to hold that conversation in the right way. It starts foundationally, if you think about it in the context of, is your data well structured? Are you bringing your data into the right structure, having those data products? Are you building your AI capabilities on top of it that can then do the predictive, prescriptive capabilities, identify the patterns, what's happening with the customer? Once you've done that inferencing, the most important part is what do you do with it, right? I think our CDIO is here, and she said yesterday as well, you're admiring a problem if you're looking at it and not doing anything about it. That's an important aspect. Like, what are you doing about it? How do you then bring that real-time decision in the context of what that customer is doing with your services and bring that insight to them in real time? There is definitely a big role for generative AI as well in how you communicate with the customer, be it for your contact center agent in terms of giving them the right nudges, giving them the right pieces of information so they can have an effective conversation, or tuning the right marketing messages for your customer is a big part of the communication piece of this. So if I was to break it down into a framework, we really think about it as data. Once you've done the inferencing on the data, how do you build out that cohort or that audience you act on? Then what's the action you take on them? And then really, how do you communicate with them? Think about that as a continuum of how you communicate with your customers. And AI is the fabric that goes across it. So when we think about our customer behavior, it's really their experience with Verizon is how they use their phones every day. I'm holding my phone in my hand, maybe not such a good thing in a meeting, but you then think about all the other services that they get from you. We are their connectivity provider at home. In a post-COVID world, a lot of people still work from home. Home connectivity is as important. Pavan talked about a Zoom call. You're doing them at home as well. So your experience end-to-end matters. And how you take that data, how you inference it, and provide those insights to the customer is where AI fits.
Thank you. These first questions were just to lay a framework about the actual uses of AI. And the next set of questions are really a deep dive into what is possible. And this is where I would very much like the audience to actually even resonate with the nature of the question, and then actually add to the discussion as we carry the discussion, as we the session further. Okay, so Jeremy, you've got a fantastic unified data model. You've got a completely automated business model. So now when we talk about changing the business model, using AI to simplify the business model, so it's about how AI can help you in terms of your customers. So the question is, how could your unified data model, the data that you have, the information, the trends that you have, how can that be leveraged to provide B2B customers with insights into their own clients? Okay, so it's now moving one step further. How will AI enable you to do this?
So we're using AI to understand patterns on the business. For example, we're primarily a wholesaler connectivity provider. In the wholesale business, we do thousands of quotations, and the closing ratio is like below 1%. This is across the board, all the carriers. That's something that me as a CEO, I don't understand how you can have thousands of quotations with one client and then you receive 5 orders a month. It's like, how can we understand better what is happening with all these, opportunities that we're supporting a client that we're only closing so few? So first, obviously, to do thousands of quotations, that means that you have either an API or you have a lot of people doing quotations on the platform. So primarily it's API. So we established a business intelligence tool to understand the data flow coming from the APIs from the clients. Where are they quoting the services? Which countries? How many opportunities per country? What are the type of services? And then having the data centralized or unified, as you mentioned on our platform, we have all the data to really analyze the patterns from the customer in terms of how efficient are we being with pricing? Which ones are closing, which ones are not closing? What is the difference between one and the other? So that's where AI comes to play and play a fundamental role, because you can evaluate incredible amount of data by understanding patterns, and the more you use it, the better it gets. So that's something that we have been using for our own business to understand how we can improve the closing ratio with the specific carriers. But now we're having a strategic conversation with our clients where they're saying, I want to translate this to my customers. This is huge. I have a dashboard where I can see my quoting, I can see my orders, I can see my installations, I can even see the task associated to each installation. Why should I stop here and just hold that information to myself? What if I can pass it over to my enterprise client? And we're like, of course, that's a no-brainer. So we don't go after directly the enterprises or the multinational clients. So there is no conflict with us and the carriers that are buying from us. So what we're starting to do is white leveling our platform so they can translate the same information to the end customer and improve that final experience. Because at the end of the day, you're not aiming only to improve the carrier customer experience. You want to, at the end of the day, the end user experience to be impacted. So it is just amazing the type of things that you can do with AI, not only understanding patterns commercially speaking, but also other things that you want to improve in your business. Obviously, it's very crucial to have the right data. If you don't have the right data, it's not going to be accurate, the result that you're going to pull out of the tool. AI is a very broad concept, but it comes to a specific applications that you develop with the AI format. It's like blockchain. A lot of people used to talk a lot about blockchain, but then blockchain is just a universe. There is so many things that you can do with blockchain. But then it comes about what is the application that you want to leverage within the blockchain network, just like AI. Look at both of these things like same thing, but just different functionalities. In the fact of blockchain, we develop a smart contract to evaluate SLAs. So just go back and imagine a wholesale division. We do thousands of quotations, but we also have thousands of services. And then you have to do SLA enforcement on these thousands of services that you have ongoing, that they all have faults at different date and time. So imagine if you can have a smart contract that evaluates your SLA that you have with hundreds of service providers and then you just pull a report with all the credits that you need to claim from your vendors. Today, many carriers don't do this because it's a manual work. You need to have 10 people. I have seen bigger teams reviewing SLAs every day. Okay, how long did that last that outage? What is the SLA? Okay, $100. If you do that manually, you're probably spending more money on the people doing the job. So you probably break even if you're lucky. But when it comes to us, we came to realize that it was so much money based on credits, based on network performance, which no one is keeping these vendors accountable on their performance. So I'm just making an example of the possibilities that you can do with AI, with blockchain, with different things that are available out there that can help you improve your business. So from our side, it's all about the customer experience. We built this platform as a customer. We had an issue in Latin America where everything was weeks. You want a quote? 3 weeks. Installation, 120 days. Tech support, 2 days. Unsustainable. So we said we're going to build a platform that is going to address all the issues that you're seeing here. So that's our view on how we can translate everything that we have done to the end customer, and it's just amazing to go through it and see the improvement in the market.
Indeed, the focus here is the way you monetize the data for potential new revenue streams. So it opens up the question for Pavan. Let's go down the path that you've achieved zero-touch operations. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's go take you and put you where your CFO is. How do you take quarterly revenue targets, okay, and ensure that customer satisfaction connected to network parameters are maintained? If you understand, my point is that you don't get any churn because of any network degradation. So practically this means maintaining network levels such that degraded network performance is not the cause of customer churn.
Yeah.
How would you go down that path?
Yeah, I mean, it is great question, by the way, because yesterday Rahul and I were chatting about, how any issues like outages would result in churn. And I know all operators maintain these metrics, right? So look, I mean, outages happen, network performance issues happen all the time. It's about, as a networking vendor, for us, what we care about is, the mean time to discover and resolve is going to be very critical, because the longer the performance issues are, the higher the chances are that you're going to make customers really unhappy, whether it is business customers or consumer customers. And every time there is an outage, the study shows that usually you will see an uptick in customer churn, like leaving and joining, and other operators. So for us, as networking vendor, for us it is very, very important that we are monitoring the network performance on a continuous basis. So you take the service intent when you're provisioning a service, and then for us, when you say zero touch, it's not just important to have the services provisioned automatically, but also equally important is to monitor that service on a regular basis and detect anomalies. And for that, you're going to require to set up all these active assurance, collect all the data, look for the patterns, and find out anomalies. And you would use a lot of AI tools for that. Just as an example, today we use all kinds of ML methods, right from statistical methods like ARIMA and deep learning methods like LSTM to detect anomalies. And those anomalies can be for many things. Latency can be an anomaly, or suddenly you are getting more routes in the network that you're not supposed to get, or you have less routes for a customer instance where you're not supposed to have that. So detecting all those anomalies and flagging them on time so that the operator is not chasing needle in a haystack where the problem is, and takes hours to resolve, that's bad on us as networking vendor also. So for us, to answer your question on the customer churn, we always feel that the customer experience has a direct relationship to the network performance. So we need to be up to date in terms of keeping that network healthy. And another point I want to add is what Rahul mentioned about data, right? Because the bad data results in bad analytics. So you need to be very, very careful in terms of how much data you collect from the network, and is it the right data, and are you collecting at the right frequency? Just to give you, as an example, today we have about 1 million network elements that stream data every minute to the cloud, where we host all these network elements. We collect data from all these about 1 million network elements, and we do this continuous inference, and we point out where there are issues. We are able to flag them on a more real-time basis. That's the scale I'm talking about, right? So 1 million every minute synchronous and then asynchronous data. So you need to be prepared for that kind of infrastructure to be able to avoid that customer churn by keeping your network happy.
Absolutely. Right? Okay, one final question, and we're going to open it up to the audience, so please get your minds thinking away. Rahul, how do you construct customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction into your competitive edge? Okay, so is it the superior technology? Are you presenting your technology as my differentiator and 5G network that you're providing, or the quality of the service provided by technology, or the products the customer can use on your network? How do you take customer behavior, satisfaction, and deconstruct it into this?
It's a good question, because if you think about it, it's all of the above, right? When you talk about customer experience, it's how they view your services on the network. What are the products and services that they can get from a company? How do you look at your experience with the company, either digitally or when you talk to them? Are they treating you as a human? So it's all of that. If I break it down into how Verizon thinks about services we provide as customers, we have a value prop where you basically say, look, you pick the network that you want, and then we leverage the scale of our distribution to offer you the best-in-class perks and connectivity on top of it. Where the differentiator comes for us is, do we know the customer and do we know what's happening around that customer to be able to make the right recommendations to the customer at the right point in time, right? So you actually stitch the customer behavior, the customer's experience on the network. So connecting back to what Pavan was saying, we have all of this data flowing in from our network. Do I know the experience you're having on your network? If you're not having a great experience on the network, the last thing I want to do is upsell more services to you. Or vice versa. If I know that you have a home service with us, but you don't have mobility, how am I leveraging AI to say, look, this is a good customer to go after? Pavan recently shared that he was one of them that we were able to bring over. So things like that are really where we think about it. You can't break down the customer satisfaction and say, okay, look, it's based on network. Okay, it's based on the services that I'm providing. It's that whole value package. You've got to think about the customer in the middle, and how are you looking at the products and services that you're providing in a holistic way around it. And the AI, like I said earlier, is the bedrock of that, that's helping you drive that intelligent conversation.
Okay, well, thank you. I'd like to open up the discussion to questions from the floor. I hope we've tickled enough gray matter to start this off. So open, any questions?
Wait, I have my cloud open, hang on.
Okay.
Cloud AI.
Anyone with questions? The challenge that the telcos face is obviously the amount of revenue that's generated by the networks and how much of that revenue that comes back to you. So Rahul, the whole subject of customer behavior indicates to you potential services, potential gaps in services, okay? How do you leverage that data to originate a new service or a new product?
So again, I'll build on what I said earlier. When you think about Verizon as a company and the scale that we have, we've got all these great partnerships with several different OTT providers, cloud providers, etc., that we're able to offer our customers. What is key is using what you as a customer are telling us on what you want. Right? So we leverage that data to know what you want as a customer and offer you those right products and services. But in addition to that, what I would say is it's also about knowing when I offer you a new phone, like let's say you have a 4G phone and you're in an area which has great 5G coverage, you're not experiencing the best parts of my network. How do we ensure that we get you that recommendation the right way? How do we take those insights and stitch the closed loop? That's where it comes into automation. That's where you actually bring it to those real world use cases. Or take a situation of you call into one of our contact centers and you ask questions about our products and services. How do we leverage Gen AI to bring that to a customer in an easy way? You give this personal research assistant to your agents that then can use that as a tool to have a more intelligent conversation with our customers about the value that they would see from those products and services. So you take AI as a capability and you really look at what is the use case that is enabling the end customer experience, is how I would think about it. And if you think about this whole framework that we've been talking about in this conversation about what does it mean to get fit, it means how are your CRM platforms adaptable, right? So when AI has a recommendation, do you have the right way where you can surface it to your agent? You give your agent another screen, another tool, yet another tool, they're not going to use it. They're going to find it really hard. How do you integrate it in a seamless way? In your digital channels, how do you surface it in a way where the customers can easily absorb what you're saying and it should feel like help? Right? It should feel human. It's not about taking the human out of the middle. It's really about making what you're doing more human to that customer. So that's another important aspect that we need to think about, which is your CRM platforms, your BSS platforms, all of them have to be built and structured in a way where they can leverage the insights that are being surfaced through the data and the AI in a way that's consumable by the customer, right?
Okay, Jeremy, when we met earlier on, we were discussing about the conservative nature in terms of the telco's approach to AI. Okay, and we know that there's the history of cloud promised everything or a lot, and then 5G came along and promised, and they didn't really deliver beyond better connectivities. So you had an interesting perspective about the nature of the conservative attitudes within telcos. Maybe you can sort of clarify on that.
I mean, I've been in the business for almost 20 years. There are deep roots on the carrier side when it comes to systems that we use. Obviously, the older the company, the older the system. It is a massive challenge for these companies to evolve into something more dynamic, easy to scale. We're not a big company like Verizon, and we did recently a migration from 2 systems, and it was a nightmare, And we're no Verizon, So imagine Verizon migrating into something, and then you have the customers in the middle, you have your operation. I don't blame the how difficult it is to embrace and to face something like that, So companies to look to evolve and be better while maintaining, the same thing that they have been doing for quite some time. It's a massive challenge. 5 years ago, we had the chance to build up the company the right way, adopting the right technologies. And that's what is allowing us to do all the things that I was speaking about before, evaluating blockchain, using AI, because you need to have the back office in place in order to take fully advantage of the different features and technologies that are out there, like AI and blockchain. Also, you need to evaluate the kind of application that you want to put in. So we were talking about the roots. It's not that we have a closed mindset, and I want to say we because I'm part of the industry, and it's not that. It's a reality that is hard to transform, to change the past. It is very complex, but it's interesting time, how all these big companies are going to face the challenge of doing things, with less, more efficient, faster. That's the challenge that we have ahead of us. It's not about launching cloud solutions or AI for clients, but I don't use it, but AI. So it's interesting what we have ahead of us, but we're gonna see new things coming up. I believe Orchest represent the new generation of carriers. We don't own a single pair of fiber in the region, but we do a lot of business in the region. We do Formula One, for example, and we don't own a single pair of fiber. So it's not about owning the fiber, it's about having the right data so you can present it to your client faster than owning the fiber. That's the challenge, that's where you make the difference. So let's see what happens, but it's pretty interesting time what we're going through, and obviously we're all evolving together. One challenge that we have is that, yeah, we can be fully automated, but if my partners are not automated, I'm stuck. You know, at the end of the day, it's about bringing up the automation adoption in the region and how other players can embrace the same technologies so we all can become efficient, you know. Okay. And that's where vendors come to play, you know, other partners from other regions. You know, I can buy from Verizon in a very efficient way through API, ordering, you know, it's all about that. At the end of the day, you cannot do everything alone.
Yeah.
It's an ecosystem and we all work and coexist together. Okay. So that's my perspective.
Pavan, AI is all about pattern recognition, yeah?
Sure.
And for somebody in networks, it's all about patterns, yeah? So do you see a future where, as somebody who's deep in networks, what you have is an AI platform that gives you a multitude of patterns of behavior on the network without you querying for them?
I mean, as you said, it's all about pattern recognition. Sure. I mean, that's all ML does, different patterns, and did you meet those patterns? So absolutely. In fact, I would say, forget the future. We are already doing a lot of those pattern recognitions outside of even Gen AI. I mean, Gen AI to me, I know there's a lot of conversation today about Gen AI, and I know it is very interesting, and that's what everybody talks about. Yeah. To me, that is a fantastic conversational interface that you could ask, what is the health of my network, or how is this router behaving today, or what are the issues in my network, and to be able to understand and translate that, and then ability to give you that information is great. I mean, we do use a lot of Gen AI across the board, but also more importantly for us, anomaly detection is nothing but pattern recognition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have, as I was explaining before, do you have more routes than what you were expecting to be, or is there a bad connectivity? You have a bad cable or your optic statistics is bad, or something with respect to traffic anomaly. Things like that are very, very common, more common than you would think.
Yeah.
And that's where we do a lot of different algorithms, as I said, but they're all about pattern recognition. And like you could use decision trees, you could do simple logistic regressions, or you could do multi-layer neural nets like LSTM, as I said, for anomaly detection. But everything is patterns. There's a lot of patterns in the network, and our ability to recognize those and show in a right way to the customer at the right time. That's what we do.
Okay, we're coming to the close. One-liners on where do you think AI will be in terms of transforming the telco model? Jeremy. That's an interesting line.
That's one line?
One line.
Wow, what a responsibility. Customer, the customer experience, better customer experience.
Okay. That's fine. Rahul?
Look, I think he said customer experience, so I won't repeat it. But look, at the end of the day, it's about using AI to drive efficiency as well as end-to-end change to your operation.
That's a line.
That's a line. I didn't stop. I didn't stop. It's still a line. It's not a word.
This is what you need AI to do, right?
Yeah. Call summarization. Conference summarization.
Thanks. Pavan?
I mean, they both stole customer experience. We all strive for that. I would say, so the usage of AI would definitely increase, AI ops. For us, from a networking guy, I would expect in the next year, all network operations use some form of AI to be able to predict. And yeah.
It's a longer line than mine.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy we've got the custom interaction right at the
I
end of
didn't
the
use
session.
period, so it's still one line. Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for the panel. And I hope there's been some takeaway. Thank you.